Hi! Welcome to Badass Butterflies Elevate Your Lifestyle Challenge. I want to thank you for joining me today for the first official live stream session for the 10-day event. My name is Crystal Lynn Bell, and I'm really excited because I'm going to be talking about my passion, which is helping folks like you become badass butterfly spiritual life coaches. So why spiritual life coaching? Because if you are watching this, then you are most likely very spiritual and you enjoy your life on earth and you enjoy material success. But underneath it all, you know the truth. There is more than what science tells us, okay? We know this. You have a real connection with spirit and energy, and you know that the source of happiness is not in the material trappings of success like money, but in your connection to the divine and your ability to work with energy. So a badass butterfly spiritual life coach is a spiritual badass, an emotional badass, and a material badass. So spiritual badassery means that you know how to work with the divine feminine to connect to spirit and the realm of ideas, concepts, knowledge, hopes, dreams, vision, and most importantly, your desire, right? Desire comes from the divine feminine. Now, emotional badassery, of course, we know the power of emotions. Emotional badassery means that you understand emotions and you know how to heal and calm them and you know how to soothe them to help a person feel better. But you also know how to fire up emotions to help a person go after what they want. So emotions are energy and motion. I always like to say that. You're going to hear me say that over and over again. Emotions are energy in motion. So understanding this, that gives you tremendous authority as a spiritual life coach. So if you don't understand emotions, you cannot help a person change their energy. Now, material badassery, and this is kind of my favorite one because even though I'm super spiritual, I love the material world. I love working with it. I love watching energy transform as I work on myself. I love seeing the outpicturing of what's going on inside me happening in the material world. It's very powerful. It's very badass. So material badassery means that you are a badass in the material world. You can do your woo-woo and be very, very proud of it, but if you cannot pay your bills or fund your dreams, that's not going to really be helpful for you, and it's not going to be so helpful for the world if you don't know how to take your spiritual downloads and bring them into a material form that your audience can read or use in their lives. So you have to be a material badass in order to be a badass butterfly spiritual life coach, okay? So I like to say that the badass butterfly spiritual life coach has her shit together and she shows up big for herself and for her dreams and for her clients, okay? And really, this kind of brings me into this 10-day challenge. This 10-day challenge is really all about getting you to take responsibility for your soul's divine life purpose to become a spiritual life coach. I know that you've been called to help people heal and transform their lives. You feel it in your bones. You're excited by the idea, and you know that God and the universe work through you to help other people. You've gone through a lot of things in your own lifetime, and you know that that wasn't for nothing, right? You didn't suffer what you suffered for nothing. So you healed and you learned from your mistakes. And I know that you want to help other people do the same thing. I did that too. I was very much like, oh my God, I remember feeling so much pain in my life. And I remember praying and I would get messages and then I'd feel so much better. And I thought, God, I know other people are suffering with this. And I want to make sure that everybody knows the power of prayer. It doesn't matter if you're praying to your Christian God or to your Islamic God or to your Hindu God. The power of prayer for me is about speech and communicating with the universe. And for me, this is so super powerful. I wanted the world to know about that, which is why I'm here. It's what brought me here. That feeling of wanting to see other people succeed, of wanting to share my knowledge with other people is what brought me here to this work, okay? And so for you, I know you feel the same way because I talk to you all about it. I talk to you about it on our discovery session calls. And of course, I'm talking to my clients about it all the time because that's what we're working on. That's what we're working with, right? Now, here's something that you may not realize about yourself, and this is really important. You have all sorts of subtle, hidden talents that Spirit has given you. And of course, you know that you're a good tarot card reader and you're a great psychic. And if you've already gotten Reiki certified, then you know that you have the power to heal in your hands. But did you know that your word choice when you're speaking, that helps you to actually promote spirit? So the words that are coming to you, that's a part of your flow, that is healing for people. And the way you use your words come from God or spirit or however you want to call it. And you have the power to also heal with the sound of your voice. And your writing is healing, and even your eyes. Did you realize that you can shift energy just by looking at something? You can shift the energy. And you're gonna always see me using my hands. Did you know that the way you use your hands when you talk was actually shifting energy, just like a badass butterfly, right? If your hands are floating around, it's just like a butterfly. So the reason I'm saying I bet you don't know this is because I talk to women like you every single day, and they have no fucking idea of how powerful they are. Yes, they're getting things done in their lives, but because they're so caught up in their three-dimensional experience and their mindset is not geared toward recognizing their own magnificence and what they're generating, they have no idea of their power. And that's why I am a spiritual life coach. And now I'm a mentor for women who want to become spiritual life coaches with successful businesses. I'm doing this work because God has given me the gift of divine sight. I can see your strengths and your weaknesses, and I know how to help you accentuate your strengths and rebalance your entire structure so that your weaknesses are no longer weak, but integrated structures that actually help you thrive. So besides all those interesting energetic gifts, I'm extremely organized and I'm a systems builder. So when I work with people like you, whether it's on the spiritual, emotional, or material plane, I help you build systems so that you can continue to thrive even when we're not working together, okay? Because of course, coaches want to empower you to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and to do all this great work on your own, to do it for yourself, okay? So in this 10-day challenge, I'm going to take you through my system, my own personal system that I use 4 times a year to help me generate new ideas and up-level my vibration for each new season. So I spoke about what we're going to be doing in the last video, the introductory video, but I just want to give you another quick overview. So today we're going to be deactivating your key negative emotion. So in yesterday's work, I asked asked you to identify the key negative emotion that was holding you back from moving closer to your higher self and making your dreams real. Today, we're going to do a really powerful process to honor that key negative emotion, all right, because it served you, so you want to honor it. You don't want to just be like all mean to your negative emotions, okay? You want to be very loving and respectful, because even though it's a negative emotion, it served you, okay? And that emotion is still energy, all right? So if you want to have respect in your life, you have to respect things even if you are afraid of them or if they are scaring you, okay? So we want to lovingly and respectfully release that key negative emotion so that you can be free of it forever. And yes, I do mean forever, because you don't have to ever experience resentment, fear, doubt, anger, or disappointment again. Now, it does take work and it takes responsibility, but I'm here to help you learn what you need to do and how to do that. So in our next live stream, that would be session number 2, the official session, I'm going to help you access the divine feminine for learning. Now, many people approach learning in a masculine, logical, and rational way, okay? That is fine. I'm glad we have masculine logic. That's fine. But we're also spiritual beings with intuition. Through the divine feminine, we can open our hearts, our throats, and our third eye and our crown, and we can receive the information we need directly from source, okay? God, spirit, the universe. They are all infinitely more powerful than Google. Believe it or not, y'all, like universe got that information already up in it, and all you've got to do is go and access it, okay? So to be a badass butterfly spiritual life coach, you don't have to be book smart, but you do have to be willing to tap into source as the foundation for all of your endeavors. You're going to need to learn how to be a coach and a healer. You're going to need to learn how to write and publish. You're going to need to learn how to build programs and curriculum. You're going to need to learn how to rock social media, to build a business, okay? You can approach all this from the divine masculine perspective, but if you do that, it's going to take you 10 years to master this stuff, because that's kind of like what the divine masculine is not totally about, but it's kind of about like masculine. Okay, we're going to do it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and then we're going to create a system around it, and then we're going to make this happen, and then we're going to make that happen, and then this has to go, and 1 + 1 is 2, and blah, 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 blah. Very linear, okay? The thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good stuff, but we have both in us. We have logic, rationality, mathematics, geometry, okay? But we also have sacred geometry, and sacred geometry is infinitely more powerful than geometry, because I said so. And I think in some ways that's true. Sacred geometry is the building blocks of nature. A leaf contains sacred geometry, and as much as man be trying, we create great stuff, okay? But we ain't ever created no leaf. Just saying, we ain't ever created no apple. We replicated apples, okay? We created Apple computers, but God's perfection originated, okay, with the divine feminine. Just saying, all right? Anyway, so if you know how to work with the divine feminine, you're going to be using your intuition to guide you through all the steps, and things are going to go much faster for you, okay? And we're going to explore that more in the next session. Now, in the third session, I'm going to talk to you about the divine masculine and how you can use it to build systems and to follow through. So as much as we spiritual people love the divine feminine, so many of us are still having trouble integrating that with the divine masculine, okay? So the divine feminine is that unseen energy, desire, feelings, ideas, like I said earlier, okay? It's the things that you don't necessarily see, but you know you have access to, okay? We use the divine masculine to take those ideas and turn them into, let's say, a book, okay? So in the divine feminine, you get the download, but to write that book, you have to sit down every day and you have to write until the book is formed, okay? Spirit is not going to just, you're not going to just look at the paper and like think it and then boom, the book is here. It doesn't work that way in this three-dimensional world. You actually have to write the words. And when the divine feminine, and you all know because you get the downloads, when the divine feminine, when you open up and she starts talking, she be talking and she don't even stop. She be like, okay, so what you need to do is blah, 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 blah. And then you need to do this, and then you need that, and then this person's going to feel this way, and then they're going to feel that. And so what you're going to need to do is counter that with a blah, 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 blah. Okay? That's how it's going to come in. You have to sit down and be typing, boom, boom, boom. And then she's going to go off on a tangent and be like, and then Cleopatra told me, and you're going to be like, wait, what is she telling me about Cleopatra right now? This isn't going to make sense to my reader. I need to figure out how to integrate Cleopatra into this thing that she's telling me, because she just gave me a big old download about why we need to be studying Cleopatra right now, okay? So this is your job, okay? You have to make sure that your book has structure, that people can understand it, that it's properly punctuated, and free from grammatical errors, okay? That's all in the realm of the divine masculine structure, logic building. So in the third session, we're going to talk about how you can use the divine masculine to make your divine feminine desire become a reality, okay? And particularly the desire to become a badass butterfly spiritual life coach. All right. So in our fourth and final live stream session, okay, I'm going to help you. And look, I need to figure out the dates for these. I'm not going to tell you the dates right now because I cannot remember. It's not like I set them up on every Tuesday and Thursday, right? I've only got 10 days and I've got 4 live streams that I want to do, and I space them apart so that you can have time to get through them because I know they're a little bit long and there's a little bit of home fun for you to do. So I don't know the dates, but they should be in the description because I'll put them in as soon as I'm done here. Okay, I'm going to put them in the description, right? And you'll have them. Okay, I put the dates in. I put the worksheet in. So actually, you should have those already in there because I did actually think about this and set it up the right way. So we're good, okay? Now, for the fourth session, I'm going to help you bring all these ideas together, okay, that we're talking about in a logical and doable framework that you're going to be able to use in the next year so that you can elevate your lifestyle, right? So if you're ready to rock and roll, let's get started with our work for today. So first of all, you should have downloaded today's worksheet, okay? If not, go ahead and do that now. There's a link for it, like I said. Also, you might want to just have the original worksheet open in another window. And today we're going to work through the process together, right? So we're going to work through worksheet 2 together today. And because I want you to be able to have, to not have to do this all alone. Personally, I like having an accountability partner, and I like doing things in a group because it's kind of nice to know that other people are working on the same thing as I'm working on. So we're going to work together today. And if you have not joined my League of Badass Butterflies Facebook group, please do so now, right? Again, that link is in the description because I put it all in there, okay? This is where I will be able to, like, you can submit your work and I can look at it and give you feedback, okay? So please do that. And I'll be going live in there also in the future, right? So today I'm going to start you off by asking you to step out of your comfort zone and into unfamiliar discomfort. So do you remember how in the intro video, I asked you to assess where you are currently standing in your daily life? So I asked you to assess where you are now and to contrast that with your greatest potential or your higher self. The idea is to get an understanding of just how far you need to go to experience a high vibrational, elevated lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying that you need to make your life perfect like your higher self. Not at all. But I am saying that your higher self is yours, okay? It is your right. It is your privilege. You have the right to have a joyful, peaceful, trusting experience where you feel powerful, prosperous, abundant, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And if you want that, and I know you do, you have to fucking fight for it, okay? So who or what do you have to fight in order to have that elevated, badass butterfly lifestyle? You have to fight your only real enemy. You got one enemy in this world, okay? And it's not really even an enemy. It's just an unruly being, and that is your ego, all right? Your ego is what separates you from God, from spirit, from the universe, from me, all right? Me from you, you from me. Your ego is what attaches to unworthiness, self-doubt, confusion, fear, disappointment, resentment, small thinking, and every other negative emotion and system of thought that holds you back from living your best life. That's what this whole 10-day challenge is all about. It's about laying claim to your joyful life, choosing it with the full intention of making it real, and then throwing yourself into the ring with your key negative emotion so that you can show yourself who the real boss of your life is, which is, of course, as a badass butterfly, I am. You are. I am the leader within myself. You are the leader within yourself. Okay? Now, you are not your ego. I'm not my ego. So let's talk a bit now about your comfort zone and those unfamiliar discomforts. So I'm going to be asking you to take on unfamiliar discomforts, and you should have been like really uncomfortable when you did that first worksheet. Like, you answered those first questions and you started kind of looking at yourself where you are now. And I hope you saw a lot of really good stuff that you love about where you are now, but you should have also found some things that you really badly want to improve. And when you explored your higher self and saw that even broader perspective, that really kind of big badass self, you should have felt a little nervous as you contrasted their magnificence, like where they are with where you are. You're magnificent right now. I know that, okay? I'm not worried about that. But when you look at your higher self and your greatest potential, there should be a gap. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this call. You wouldn't be coming to me for assistance because I'd be going to you for assistance, okay? The Dalai Lama would be going to you for assistance, all right? So I'm assuming you got a gap, okay? Now, I want you to understand that feeling nervous when you take on a big, badass challenge is perfectly normal. That's your ego quaking in its boots as it realizes that it can't keep stuffing ice cream in its face, or it has to get off the couch, or that you're gonna go start a business like your soul told you want to do. So your ego is quaking because it knows that all those big, badass ideas are going to push you and it out of the familiar discomfort of where you are now into new discomforts that will expand you and stretch you and challenge all your limiting beliefs. You're going to have to do hard things. The small thinking part of you that likes to be comfortable with her limitations wants you to turn away from this great, big, badass challenge. She likes her familiar discomforts. I know this. Because remember how yesterday or in the last session, I keep saying yesterday because I think I kind of wanted to do it like yesterday, but I didn't. I couldn't get the timing right because it's, the holidays while I'm doing all this. So anyway, in the last video, I told you about my relationship with disappointment, right? And I told you that I found myself claiming disappointment before I had actually even experienced the thing that I was experiencing. So there was no even disappointment there. I just kind of led with disappointment, like, oh, this restaurant's gonna suck, right? Because it felt safer than disappointment. Wait, let me say this the right way. It felt safer for me to go in and control the situation by claiming disappointment and feeling disappointment that when I claim it, as opposed to going in with an open heart and recognizing something that disappoints me and feeling heartbroken. There's a big difference, okay? And it's a lot about the tenderness that we hold within ourselves, and we do this stuff to protect ourselves from heartbreak, from pain, and feelings that we don't feel like we can recover from. So every time I went into a restaurant, I'd look around for what was wrong so I could control that disappointment. And it was the same thing with men. It wasn't just for food, okay? I would look for all the flaws and all the reasons I should bail on the relationship before I got blindsided by something that would make me really uncomfortable, right? And as uncomfortable as it is to look for what's wrong in a situation or with a person, it became really familiar to me, right? So I was comfortable with my reaction, my disappointed reaction to life, okay? So today, I want you to recognize your comfort with your familiar discomfort. So in the last video, I had you identify one key negative emotion that you experienced on a regular basis, and that would be your go-to emotion. It's the one through which you see the world, okay? Through the eyes of this emotion, through the eyes of disappointment, through the eyes of resentment, through the eyes of jealousy. I think you know what I'm talking about, okay? So for me, it was disappointment. It will be different for you, okay? Just as I said, sadness, like, oh, this is too bad. Oh, that's so sad, As a matter of fact, actually, this is really a great point. One of my friends wrote, and she was looking at a newborn baby, a beautiful newborn baby, but the baby was struggling with some kind of something. I don't really remember what it is. I'm sorry. And I looked at the picture of the kid, and I thought, wow, I literally, the thing that I thought when I looked at this child was, wow, that is a bundle of opportunity. It wasn't even opportunity. I don't have the word. I looked at the kid and I thought, I felt perfection. I'm like, this kid is perfect and so powerful. That's what I thought, okay? And then I read my friend's message and she's like, oh, it's suffering. I see suffering and oh, it's just too bad. And I'm like, God damn, don't do that. Don't, because you have the power to change things with your eyes. Look at that kid through the eyes of Christ. Look at that animal that is running in the street, okay? And it's going to get hit and you're just terrified. Find another frequency. Do your best. Even if the frequency is, God, help me see this in a better, more powerful light. That is the power to change your vibration and impact that beast that's terrified, to change that to a beast that is learning how to dodge, or being uplifted or connecting, who's being elevated, anything other than making it a victim. Please stop making things a victim through your vision. Stop spreading victimization by your own vision. So I'm sorry I just totally went off on a tangent there, okay? Sorry, but this is just what I'm working on with myself, okay? Working on it with myself, and I'm sharing that with you. So I did get a little bit off track, so my apologies, okay? The point that I want to make is that the key negative emotion, okay, is going to make you, it's already making you super uncomfortable, but because it's familiar, you're actually really comfortable with that weird ass discomfort. So I remember when I used to overeat and it was so painful. My stomach physically hurt, my body felt heavy, lethargic, and it was even hard for me to breathe. After decades of doing this every day, it became a really familiar discomfort. Okay, now I've just admitted that eating the food hurt physically. Did I let that discomfort stop me? No, I did not. As a matter of fact, okay, just kept on eating. I did that, okay, for years, all right? The unfamiliar discomfort that I avoided at all costs was the discomfort of having to stop eating after my body had gotten the right amount of calories it needed to maintain a healthy weight. And so let's just say that that's 1,800 calories. Well, what I did was to stuff 2,200 to 3,000 calories extra a day and without exercising, okay? So I got up, this badass butterfly once weighed 180 pounds, okay? I've posted a picture of myself, of that, me at that time, in the Badass Butterflies Facebook group. So go on in there, take a gander. It was round, okay? It was round, this was round, everything was round. So what I had to do, all right, and I had to do something in order to lose the weight and then to keep it off, right? So right now I weigh anywhere between 128 pounds to 135 pounds. You know, my weight kind of fluctuates, water, whatever, okay? So I'm between 128 and 135, okay? And that's a great weight for me. I got no issues with how much I weigh at all right? The thing is, I had to leave the comfort of my familiar discomforts and move into the scary as fuck world of unfamiliar discomforts, okay? So we're going to talk about this more in our next live session. And that's when we're going to be talking about the divine feminine, okay? So with her, you're going to talk about confronting those unfamiliar discomforts in the spirit of open-heartedness, okay? And that's really challenging. Open-heartedness is vulnerability. It's vulnerable, okay? That's why we don't do it. But what we'll do is we're going to learn, I'm going to teach you how to approach it with a sense of curiosity and learning instead of fear and trepidation, okay? So don't worry, I've got your back. Now, for today, I just need for you to start considering that elevating your lifestyle begins with being uncomfortable with new discomforts most of the time, okay? And one of the big discomforts I hear about from my students and my followers, my readership, is that they are uncomfortable investing in themselves, okay? So it's really scary to do things for yourself, even if doing them guarantees your success. So let's look at the main investments that you're going to need to be making in order to be a successful badass butterfly spiritual life coach, okay? And this is really important because investing means that you have to put your whole self into it, right? So if I were investing in the stock market, I would have to do a lot of research to decide what stocks are worth investing in. And I would have to kind of take a risk on choosing stocks that actually will, hopefully return a dividend to me, give me a return on my investment, right? So what I want to do right now is just kind of talk about some of the investments that you're going to need to make, because I want to challenge you to understand that you are worth investing in. And let me say this the right way. You are worth investing in if you get a return on your investment, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. If you don't do the work, you're not going to get a return on your investment. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't invest in you either if you aren't going to do the work, okay? So if you think things are going to just come easily, that was me, by the way. Okay, let me be honest with you. I had to learn the hard way about like this unfamiliar discomfort thing. It's not like this just came to me all of a sudden. I struggled half-assing things, running away from unfamiliar discomforts, okay? I'd sit down to write a blog article and I'd say, I'm gonna write a blog article about this. Boom. It was important. It came from the divine feminine. I needed to do the divine masculine work of writing that article, researching it, making it blah, 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 okay? And I would stop because my brain would be fried. I'd be like, I can't figure this out. And then I wouldn't just sit there and work through the article and be disciplined and leave it for a moment and then come back. No, I just gave up. So to be honest with you, and I'm having a little bit of an emotional moment right now because that's the problem with most people. You give up too soon. And you don't give yourself a shot. You don't put your whole self into it. And it's a problem. It's why, look, failing is okay. You can fail. Okay? And if you can't, if you couldn't do it perfectly, that's fine. You couldn't do it perfectly. You did it the best you could. You learned a lot. You get something back from those failures. When you go into it to the best of your ability, you do get something back from your failures, okay? But when you just quit, you run and hide and you don't tackle the hard stuff, you aren't going to get a great return on your investment. You might get some reward, but you're not getting long-term dividends, okay? Keep that in mind as we go forward and I talk to you about the investments you need, okay? You need an investment of time, okay? You have to organize your schedule. And you have to carve out time to connect with your spirit, to get your mindset in order to manage your emotions, to manage your energy. And you have to set up time to learn what you don't know. You have to work through a structured curriculum. You have to attend classes. You have to attend meetings. You have to make time to do the little things that are going to make your business stand out in the crowd, okay? Sadly, too many women struggle with carving out the time for putting their mindset and their emotional wellness first, even though the clarity that these habits bring would actually elevate their day and give them infinitely better outcomes. Okay? This is a problem. You also need an investment of focus. All right? You have to cut out all the distractions, including relationships that drain your energy. All right, I know this is hard. I know. Scrolling on Facebook, binge watching television, okay? Investing your focus in your coaching business is going to supercharge your will and your intentions. So what I mean by that is like your focused will and intentions will give you a clear path to the divine. Okay, it's going to sharpen your intuition and it's going to help you send clear messages out to the universe so that you can become a master manifester. Okay, again, sharpening your focus will give you powerful outcomes, but too many women, again, find it really hard to focus their attention for sustained periods, and over time, when it's for themselves. Will they do it for their kids? Yes. Will they do it for their partner? Yes. Will they do it for their boss? Yes. Will they do it for themselves? Not so much. Okay? It's like she has to have a big awakening in order to finally do it for herself. And hopefully I'm helping you awaken to that today, because you deserve it. You've got great energy. You've got great ideas. We just need you in there. Okay? Now, an investment of commitment. Okay? Making a commitment means making a decision. You have to make the decision to become a badass butterfly, a spiritual life coach, and a business owner. All three. You can ease yourself into your commitment, so don't panic, okay? But it's important that you make the decision and then commit to following it through to completion. The investment of your commitments means that you can no longer play small and act like you're incapable, okay? You can't play, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I'm confused, I can't figure it out, I don't know. Can't do that. No, you cannot do that any longer. You have to take off your mask and stop hiding, acting like you're small, okay? You also need an investment of energy, okay? You need energy to build a business, okay? You need energy to be a badass butterfly. No, wait, hold on. You need energy to be a caterpillar, okay? You need energy to transform. You need energy to be a badass butterfly. You need energy to be a life coach. You need energy to build a business, okay? So you need to get enough sleep. You need to eat the right foods. You need to make sure your family is pitching in to help you around the house. You need to make sure you have the energy to work intensely in a program for months while you build the foundation for your business, or for years if you do it on your own, okay? You also need an investment of grit, tenacity, and resilience, all right? Elevating your lifestyle is challenging. Doing these things is challenging. You've got to take spiritual responsibility for yourself, who you want to be. You have to heal emotionally. You have to create prosperity materially. You need resilience, grit, and tenacity to help you stick to it so you don't give up. And if you start sabotaging, okay, you need to sabotage yourself, you got to pull yourself back and get realigned, okay? Now, of course, okay, now this is three-dimensional wisdom. You need financial investment, okay? You have to make smart, worthwhile financial investments in your business. And you should expect to see a return on all your investments, whether they be time, focus, commitment, energy, resilience, and financial, okay? Now, I made a video, and I'm going to put a link. I might have to do that separately. I'm going to have to remember before at the end of this video, somebody remind me, okay, to give you the link to my video, How to Make Money as a Spiritual Life Coach, okay? Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll put that link in the League of Badass Butterflies Facebook group, all right? It's a great video because I teach you exactly the things you need to do to make money, okay, to look at the numbers. Now, if you've never run a business before and you've never coached anyone before, then you have to start with a really good training program that's going to get you fully set up with everything you need. And look, I did that for myself and it was an excellent investment, okay? You can start to see, well, okay, look, let's be honest. My coaching program when I first started out was great, okay? First of all, you hear me saying that was great because it was great. It was the best $10,000 I had ever spent. I learned so much about spirituality and I learned a lot, okay? But the problem was that when I finished with that program, I didn't know how to build the business. So it's like I was walking around, I knew all this stuff about spirituality, but I had no idea of what to do with that knowledge. Not any idea. And for years, I mean, literally for like 5 years, I was just trying to figure out how to run the business. I had to figure out how to run the blog, write a blog, figuring out how to, how to build the website, what to put on my website, how to make lead magnets, how to find followers, how to build an email list. I didn't know any of that stuff, okay? So even though I'm happy that I invested $10,000 in that program, I do wish that I had been given more assistance with the business, because I suffered for the first couple of years. It was really, really hard not knowing what to do. It was hard. And I don't encourage you to do it that way. Look, I did it and I survived, okay? And obviously I'm teaching you now because I went through that, and you don't have to go through that. I have a great system, and I'm more than happy to share my system with you. But I don't recommend that you suffer if you don't have to. Okay, so if you do invest in a coaching program that's going to help you be a great spiritual life coach and build your business, like they're going to teach you everything you need to know to build the first level of your business, that's an incredible investment, okay? And on something like that, you can truly begin to see returns on that investment immediately. And beyond that investment, you're going to need to invest in a website. You're going to need to get some graphic design work. You're going to need any technology like a computer, a phone with a great camera, a printer, maybe even an accountant or a bookkeeper, a virtual assistant. So all those things are investments, financial investments in your business, okay? But you shouldn't let those things scare you, because all those things are achievable when you have a great mentor and teacher. And look, I'm here to help you do that. And this is also why I have my League of Badass Butterflies Facebook group, because that's the entry point for working with me. You can always come into any program with me that you want, but the League of Badass Butterflies is just where we start taking some baby steps into becoming a spiritual life coach, right? And if you're ready to advance, you can always, like I said, come right into a program. But that Facebook group is just the launch pad, right? And I think that's really important, okay? So I'm here to help you succeed, all right? So let's elevate, all right? So the thing is, there's just really one thing that stands between you and success, right? And that's your mindset, okay? So today we're going to tackle a key aspect of your mindset that's holding you back from living your greatest potential, and that's that key negative emotion. Your key negative emotion is the go-to emotion that fires off when your ego is trying to protect you from feeling unfamiliar discomforts. It makes you turn away from things that feel somehow too challenging or scary. The thing to remember is that God, Spirit, and the universe flow through you all the time. So when you feel called to do something that makes you uncomfortable, just remember that Spirit supports you 100%, okay? Your job is simply to tune into that support and also to get really comfortable experiencing new, unfamiliar discomforts, okay? So as we go forward with deactivating this key negative emotion, remember that you are only attached to this emotion because it's familiar. So I'm asking you to become familiar with some new feelings and sensations, which might be uncomfortable, but they're not going to kill you, okay? So deactivating your key negative emotion is going to require you to feel new sensations and to have a new, different, unfamiliar experience with the world around you, even if it's things that you already think you know about, okay? Go in with not your old attitude, not with your old key emotion, but with an open heart and mind, and find a new way to look at things, okay? This is the key, to be honest with you, all right? So I do think that you're going to like this process, okay? It's deep, what we're about to do, but it's really loving. My approach is going to hopefully make you appreciate that familiar key negative emotion, and that you guys kind of understand and part in a very loving, respectful way. So put your worksheet from yesterday in a place where you can access it in case you want to reference it for something. But then open up the new worksheet so that for today, so that we can go through it together. Okay. So I call this first thing that I'm going to have you do the what. Okay. So in the worksheet or in your journal, however you're going to do it, I want you to write down all the ways that you have been a victim of this key negative emotion. Okay. So, actually, you know what? I forgot. The first thing you have to do is actually write down the key negative emotion. I put that, I forgot, and I added that onto the worksheet. Just transfer it from worksheet 1 to worksheet 2, just whatever your negative emotion is. Write that down at the top. All right. And then I want you to write down all the ways that you have been a victim to that emotion. Okay. And let's see. I think I need to get my timer, but I'm gonna get you time. I'm gonna get you started. I'm gonna run and grab my timer. Okay. So I also want to make sure I gave you in the last live stream. I gave you some examples of how I gave power over to disappointment, but I want to just kind of give you a little idea of what I'm talking about, right? So that you know what I'm talking about with this exercise, right? So the ways that I was a victim of this emotion was, for example, it used to be that when I created something in my business, I was always disappointed with how it came out. And I would put together like an entire program with the marketing, and I would do it really in the best way that I could, okay? And I would launch it, and then I would find myself looking at the project with this real sadness, like it was disappointment, man. It was disappointment. I'd look at it and be like, I was disappointed in the turnout. I was disappointed in the returns. Okay, they weren't what I expected. So that is something, if you have a similar experience, you could write that down. Okay, so another example of me giving my power to this emotion was when I was running. I'd feel disappointed. While I'm running, I'd be like, I'm not running fast enough. And then that would slow me down because I'd have such heavy energy. Okay. So that was me giving like a power over to disappointment. Okay. And even food had become disappointment. Like I said, every time I went into a restaurant, I'd find something that was wrong. Overcooked vegetables, poor service, couldn't get the right table, there was dirt on the floor, whatever. Just stuff that I was making up stuff, okay? And even relationships were not exempt, okay? So I was disappointed that my mom, I talked to you last time about her and the 40th birthday party. I said I was disappointed in that. Well, it was nice that my mom threw me a 40th birthday party. She invited all my friends and shit. I was so fucked up in my mind, y'all. I'm sorry. But the fact is, I'm now, and so now my mom has died, okay? And even on her deathbed, I made my mom's death not about her. Okay, it was about her, but I also managed to make it about me. Like my mom didn't say goodbye to me before she died. She didn't say the right thing to me. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. Oh my God, I'm dying right now. Okay, it's just so freaking fascinating, y'all. Okay, so I'm just saying, I'm disappointed. about stuff, okay? That was me. Disappointed that my best friend didn't call me on my birthday, okay? Disappointed that my family got together for COVID Thanksgiving. This was last year or the year before. And I'm like, that's a bad idea, but they wanted to do it, they could do it, okay? Why am I disappointed behind that? Why couldn't I feel like, why couldn't I send them some good vibes so that they could just go have a good COVID Thanksgiving together? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many other options, and I chose disappointment, all right? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write down all the ways you gave power to your key negative emotion, all right? I'm going to set a timer, and I'll be right back, okay? The timer's on now. Go. Alrighty. So look, you can always go back to this exercise a little bit later, when we're done, and you can add more stuff if you want to. I encourage you to, okay? And also, I would love to hear about your findings. So if you would post this in the League of Badass Butterflies Facebook group, I'll give you feedback happily, okay? So the next step is the why. Right? So now you have identified your the ways that that you were a victim, okay, in this situation with this emotion. Now it's time for you to start moving out of victim mode into ownership mode or responsibility mode. Okay, so in order to elevate your lifestyle, you actually need to have authority. All right, you got to have authority in yourself to elevate your lifestyle. Okay, you kind of don't want to have to be asking your ego or your fear permission. Fear, may I please elevate my life? Because that's kind of how we treat it. Like we give fear dominion over us. I gave disappointment dominion over myself, okay? So in order to have authority, you need to take full responsibility for your choices. And you're the one who gave that negative emotion your authority in the first place. And you wrote down in that last section all the ways you gave it that authority. And if you haven't finished, please go back and finish, because it's really important that you do that. In order to make this thing go, you have to know where you're not standing up for yourself, where you're not being the authority. Okay? So in this next section, I want you to own up to your responsibility. Okay, so you're going to look at the list of the things that you started in the last section, and I need you to write down why you use the key negative emotion in each of those situations. Like, what would you have been forced to do if you couldn't hide behind the key negative emotion? For example, if I didn't have disappointment as the default emotion, what would I have had to do? So again, let me give you some more examples, okay? I'm going to just use the examples that I initially gave you. So the first one was about my business, right? My business outcomes. By seeing my business outcomes through the eyes of disappointment, I really didn't have to work very hard. I got to give up, okay? Disappointment made me pick up my toys and go home. Now, I know you're wondering, what the hell are you talking about? But like, if the universe didn't meet my expectations, I could drop a project and then just go find a brand new project. I don't have to figure out, oh my God, I'm telling you all about myself right now, okay? If I didn't like the guy, I could just, hey, this doesn't work, I'm out of here. It's a very fixed mindset way of being, okay? I never had to dig deep and learn what went wrong with my business projects, okay? I never had to admit fault, all right? That means I didn't have to do hard, deep work that leads to really big success, you know? And the running one is really easy because if I didn't have that disappointment, I would have had to just shut up and run faster. I would have had to run harder, and it hurts to run harder. So I was like in this, I was in a really, disappointment was making me run slowly, and I was really glad about that, okay? Disappointment let me be really comfortable running at a super slow pace, okay? I didn't want to have to really be running fast, okay? Because it hurts to run fast. It's like you feel the burning, okay? It's hard to run uphill. You're hard up the hill. Yeah, okay? For the restaurant, the food, okay? If I didn't have the disappointment, if I didn't have the disappointment of the restaurant, okay, I'd walk in, I'd be sitting there by myself, eating my meal, having to be in the unfamiliar discomfort of my own company, okay? Nope, didn't want to do that, avoided it at all costs, so I would just sit there and complain about shit. It would just run through my mind, complain, okay? And that was also, I didn't have to just be present, you know? And especially if I was in a large group of people, oh my God, because in a large group of people, I get lost. With one person, I'm good. I can be interested in and engage with one person, but if it's a large table of people, it's easier for me to just sit there in my mind and like complain about everything. It's ridiculous, okay? I'm showing you how ridiculous my life was, all right? And you know, especially like going out and being by myself, like I remember being in a really lonely phase. And even though I loved really eating out, sometimes the feeling of loneliness was just unbearable. So disappointment was like my friend, okay? Disappointment was my friend who kept me distracted from the feelings of loneliness. Oh my God, I have friends. Those are the only friends I could get, okay? And for my sacred relationships, okay, I would say that disappointment helped me keep anger alive in myself, okay? And I needed the anger so that I could avoid disappointment altogether. And look, this is me, again, trying to get to my feelings before they get to me. So if I stopped feeling disappointment around my mom, then I'd have to feel the weight of my grief, okay? And if I didn't have disappointment around my friends not calling or something, I'd have to feel the real pain of not having my close friend by my side, or really even having like a lover that is there supporting me and loving me in the way that I want, okay? And around my family, okay, and the COVID, okay, if I didn't have the disappointment around the family, I would have to deal with the consequences of my own decision, okay? I made a decision for my own safety to stay away from group gatherings. I made that decision. Why am I mad at my family? Because they didn't make the same decision as me. That's their business, okay? It has nothing to do with me. You see how I'm making everything about me? Oh my God. You guys are going to be like, we don't want to hang out with her. She's not fun. Everything's about her. I understand you do that too. That's why I'm talking. Okay, that's why we're all here together. So in all these cases, you can easily see why I chose disappointment. It was about preserving some form of comfort for myself, right? And essentially, I was protecting myself from feelings that were out of my comfort zone. So level 1 disappointment was actually a very cozy, familiar discomfort that I chose because I wanted to see the world through that so I could protect myself. But if it was disappointment that blindsided me, that came from out of nowhere and I didn't control it, that would devastate me. That would break my heart. Okay? So for this next step, let's give you 2 minutes again. Write down why you chose to employ your key negative emotion in the way that you did. And if you didn't have your key negative emotion, what would you have had to do? What would you have had to face? Okay? What would you have had to do without that emotion? What would you have had to face without that emotion? All right, I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes and I'm going to get myself some more water and I'll be right back. All righty. So keep in mind, and please, I want you to, for your home fund, to go back and add more. Add more things to part 1, part 2, okay? Because the more you get this out, the more you're going to know how you react. Or you're going to know yourself more if you do it, if you really take a deep dive into this and unload. Taking responsibility means that you're really, taking responsibility, okay? Now, let's see, for the next section, the next section is what I call the action plan. So you've now looked at what you've used your key negative emotion for, and you've also explored why you used it. You now actually have an action plan for starting what you must confront, okay? So what I want you to do now is look at your why list. And I want you to you can do this in the way you want to, but I want you to either underline or highlight, circle, or put a star next to each of the imperatives in each item on your list. So, Oh, maybe oh, I can't really screen share from this app. Okay, well, look. So what you have to do, sorry, I'm having a little bit of a brain fart. So in each of the things that you've just written down, there should be an imperative. There should be something that you recognize that you must do, okay? I want you to highlight that. So for me, on my list, I highlighted, let's see, hold on. Uh-oh, did I lock it? No, it's okay. Let's see, so for my list, so what I wrote for the previous section was that, what I wrote for the previous section was that I never had to dig deep and learn what went wrong, okay? Which means I didn't have to do the hard, deep work that leads to success. Excuse me, sorry. All right. So what I have to write, so what I wrote or picked out, underlined or highlighted or put a star next to, I have to dig deep and learn what goes wrong when I don't have an outcome that I like, right? So when I don't have a satisfactory outcome or I don't reach my goal, I have to dig deep and learn what went wrong in my failed projects, right? I have to do the hard, deep work that leads to the powerful success that I want, okay? And then for the one with the running, I mean, this one is kind of really obvious. I had to shut up and run faster, okay? And I have to just learn to be uncomfortable running at top speed, okay? And then for the next one with the food, I'd have to be present with my own company, which is really uncomfortable, okay? And then for my relationships, okay, okay, so obviously with my mom dying, I'd have to be with my grief. I couldn't hide behind disappointment in her anymore, so I would just have to be with the grief and deal with that, okay? I'd have to deal with the pain of not having that close person next to me, like my friend, okay? I'd have to deal with my family and the COVID Thanksgiving, okay? Excuse me. I'd have to deal with the consequences of being there for myself, okay? Owning my own decision for my safety and my own values, right? So instead of shifting blame to my friends, instead of shifting blame to my family, instead of shifting blame to my mom, okay, I have to take responsibility. All right, so that is hopefully this is really making it very clear for you, okay? So what I want you to do now is go ahead and make your action plan. Just write down all the imperatives and the things that you have to do, okay? By the way, I want to see your list, so please make a note to share it in the Facebook group. Oh, sorry guys. My Marion, it's okay, you can come in. So sorry guys, my friend is coming in and Apollo's getting excited. So anyway, we're okay. So you all go ahead and work for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to just say hi to my friend. I'm gonna try to be quiet because I don't know how to mute, okay? We're gonna be quiet because Marion, sorry, I'm still live streaming here. Anyway, 2 minutes you got, okay? So you're gonna write down your imperatives and make your action plan. So, and just to make sure I said this clearly, I suggest that you go in and you underline, highlight, or put a star next to the imperative and then write it down in the space on the worksheet below. Okay? All right, boom, here we go. There's the timer. Okay. Oops. Okay, so now it's time for a little reflection. And keep in mind, you can always go back and finish up your worksheet, okay? Oh, there's our timer. Oops. Uh-oh, I actually hit reset. It's canceled. There we go. So now it's time for us to we're almost done with this exercise, by the way. Almost, but we got still some important things that we need to do. Now, what I want you to do is just take a few moments, and I want you to pause and just look at what you've been creating in your mind with this key negative emotion, okay? So personally, would you mind putting that light back on, Marian? Yep, thank you. That's perfect, thank you. So I see that, like, when I was reflecting for myself, I was able to see that I was, as I said earlier, it was easier for me to have the familiar uncomfortable feeling of disappointment rather than introducing new unfamiliar uncomfortable feelings. And really, for me, I made a decision to do that. It wasn't a super conscious, it wasn't a conscious decision, but it was kind of a conscious decision. There was a time when I just remember being so heartbroken, and I just reached for something negative. I wanted to get back. I wanted to hurt someone, and I wanted to hurt myself. And so I decided in that moment that disappointment was going to be my badge of honor. I'd be disappointed all the time, and I had protection by being disappointed all the time, okay? And my mind and my emotions were totally willing to surrender to disappointment. And I became really comfortable with that discomfort because it also came from my own decision. It was my way of coping, okay? So I want you to take a moment, okay, give you another minute, and I want you to note down any epiphanies or insights that are coming up for you as you contemplate this work that we're doing, all right? So take a minute for that, and then we'll come back and do some more. And again, if you want to post this or share what you're doing in the Facebook group, I would really, really appreciate it, because I'm so curious about, if this is resonating with you and what you're getting from it. Okay, so let me set the timer for just 1 minute now. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. All right. So again, please share your feedback with me in the Facebook group. Right? So the next section is called the decision. And so far, you've acknowledged the ways that you gave over your power to that key negative emotion. And you have come to understand why you did it. You learned that perhaps you were avoiding responsibility for something that could make you uncomfortable. And then you created an action plan of what you need to confront. So that's what we've just done. So you would think that the next logical step is to set off and conquer your action plan, right? Well, yes and no. Yes, you do need to do the things on your action plan, but not necessarily today, okay? You may not have an opportunity to confront the things on your action plan right now, because maybe they're not going to come up authentically for you. Maybe they will, but maybe they won't, okay? But what I do need you to do today is to decide that you will form a new relationship with yourself and your emotional challenges. And I need you to decide that you will choose a different reaction to things that take you out of your comfort zone. Okay. So as I told you earlier, I chose to feel satisfied. And I talked about this in the last video. I didn't mention it today, but in the last video, I told you that I chose to feel satisfied with the things that came my way. And eventually I found myself actually appreciating things that I was disappointed in before. Okay, so the next step is for you to decide on a more empowering reaction to those things that challenge your emotions. Now, a word of caution: don't try to make a big leap to a new feeling that you cannot stomach all the time. Okay, you have to be able to tolerate this all the time. I moved from disappointed into satisfied because at the time, satisfaction felt doable. For example, if I created something in my business and the message was not well received, I could find satisfaction in knowing that I had created something from start to finish. Okay. I also took satisfaction in knowing that I'm willing to learn so that I can correct my message and republish it if I need to. Another example is if I walked into a restaurant and the waiter was rude, I could find satisfaction in the fact that I was indoors, dry, and about 3 minutes from a glass of wine. Okay. So miraculously, since dismissing disappointment and choosing satisfaction, I've not experienced disappointment since. So how could that be? Why is that? Well, because we are co-creators with the universe, we get to choose how we are going to react to things. The universe is going to send us things that are a vibrational match to where we are in any given moment. And our job is to remember who we are and to choose from that place. And I have decided that I am a satisfied woman. And so the universe keeps sending me more and more opportunities to be satisfied. So I walk around now happily appreciating things. The power of decision rests not in like the mere speaking of your words, okay? So keep in mind that there is commitment involved with decision making, okay? So just saying, I decide to not feel disappointed, and then, your husband walks in and he's got fried chicken under his arms and you wanted pizza, and you go, dang it, that is something you gotta like snatch. You gotta snatch that reaction back, okay? You gotta be like, no. You gotta go, I see me being disappointed right now. I see me mad. I'm gonna fix this. Let's see. I really wanted pizza, but, grease is grease. Fried chicken, pizza, grease is grease. Look at him. I married that man. He's so handsome. And he's got fried chicken. He's got a bucket of KFC under one arm and a bucket of Popeyes on the other so that I could have a choice. That's satisfying. All right? I think you're starting to catch my drift, okay? The point that I'm trying to make is that you're going to have to make a commitment along with your decision, all right? And that's what I want you to do right now. So when I went running, okay, I remember this was after I had this new attitude, okay, and I remembered my leg was stiff and sore, and I remember thinking, this is fucking hard, and I'm never going to get my time up. I'm going to fail. I'm disappointed in this slow ass run. And I was listening to Cardi B. And I remember shifting, right? Started running with the pace of the music, okay? And I started just changing my dialogue. And so instead of it being, I'm sucking right now, what a disappointment, it became, wow, I feel that my left leg is needing some stretching and myofascial release. Gosh, my left leg really works hard to keep up with my right leg, and I think it really deserves that loving care. I'm going to do that for myself when I get home. And sure enough, that's what I did. But can you feel the difference between, I'm sucking right now. I suck at this. This is so hard. And this is kind of challenging, but I'm growing. I'm learning. I'm getting better. Right? So one is focused on the loss, and the other is focused on like compassion and tenderness and motivation. And you have access to both because you're a badass butterfly. You have access to many different things, okay? And you get to choose whether you do the negative option or the positive one, the one that's going to hold you back and slow you down and make you feel like shit, or the one that's going to motivate you, power you up, and make you do better. I'm not saying that you're going to fly, it's not like I went and flew up the hill after that run, after that little pep talk, but I felt better. And I was able to see where the habitual disappointment was coming in to rob me. And I'm like, nope, I took me back, okay? So my decision to find satisfaction opened me up to something that was more gentle and more playful, okay? So take a moment right now to decide what kind of responses you can have instead of that key emotion. How will you respond instead? So you can go back to like your first list and use that, or if something else, if you feel inspired by something else, then you can choose something else. But just what other emotions and reactions can you have instead of your key negative emotion? And again, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, okay? Alrighty. So keep in mind, you can always come back and finish it up. All right, so now that you have a plan in place, you just have to deactivate your initial decision to fall back on your key negative emotion. So this is a really personal process, but it's really simple. So I'm going to actually ask you to do this part for your home fun before our next session, whatever day that is going to be. I don't remember. Okay. So this process can take you anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour, depending on what comes up for you. And you might even want to spend a couple days with it, and that's fine. But we're not going to do it together right now. So the thing that you're going to need to do is close your eyes and imagine that your key negative emotion is standing in front of you. Okay, so for me, I saw disappointment as a thin, stooped woman who's wearing a threadbare shawl. Okay, she had it over her head and shoulders, and her eyes looked really hollow, and her skin looked really brittle. And the thing that I knew was that even though she looked kind of weak and fragile, I should not underestimate her strength, right? Because disappointment is a badass. So I want you to imagine that your key negative emotion is in front of you, and I want you to have a conversation with them. Talk to them about the relationship you all shared, reminisce about the old times with it, have a laugh with it. And then you gotta have the breakup conversation, okay? You need to say goodbye to it like you would an old friend who was going off to live in Antarctica, okay? They are there if you need them for an occasional phone call, but the internet reception might not be so good. And it's going to take a mighty long time for them to get back to you. So say goodbye to your old friend and see them walk out the door. Then close the door behind them and turn the key. And don't open that door anymore. They're done. This is the end of that relationship. You don't need it any longer unless you have a conscious need and you feel like, you know what, it might be good to feel my disappointment right now. There's disappointment here. I'm going to feel it, but you're going to do it on your terms, not with them dictating to you, and you're certainly not going to make it a habit again, right? So you've made a decision, and your job now is to remember that decision in your daily life and to act on it, okay? Then once you're done with that, you have to do what I like to call the practice. Now, I know you've heard that meditation and yoga have been called like your meditation practice, your yoga practice, okay? And you've never heard even any badass guru say like, oh, it's a meditation perfection or a yoga perfection. Why? Because that would be insane, all right? Your yoga practice, your meditation practice would never be perfect, and we don't expect them to be. You're going to just try and do your best in every time you sit down, okay? So the spirit of practicing means that you get to do the best that you can do. Your deactivation, okay, of your relationship with this key negative emotion is determined by the power of your determination. So after this process, you have to work on your mind every single day. And I'll be holding you accountable in my Facebook group, okay? But you have to be the one who's going to do the work to get it done and to maintain it. So before I let you go today, I need you just to promise me that you are going to practice your decision to release that key negative emotion, and you're going to practice using other emotions and having different emotional responses that are higher vibrational, okay? So before I let you go, I want to just tell you a few more important things, all right? Now, I've been doing spiritual and healing work as a professional since 2003. That's 20 almost 20 years, okay? And I want to say honestly that this is not hard work. You just need to make your decision. And I'm saying that the most powerful way to elevate your lifestyle is to choose to follow your calling to become a spiritual life coach and healer. I made this decision for myself, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. It has given me time, wealth, financial freedom, and a connection to the best people, a life of travel and adventure, and most importantly, it's given me freedom and authority. I am the authority in my life. Yes, I pay taxes and I follow the government's rules, okay? But I do that not from a place of victimhood, but from a place of ownership. I pay taxes and I vote. Why? Because I own my country, okay? Yes, I am partnered with other Americans, okay? Some of whom assume more responsibility than I do. Okay? And there are others who assume less responsibility. But that is the beauty of being a badass butterfly. We never feel small and insignificant, like, oh, I'm not, the government doesn't see me. No, my government sees me, they feel me. Okay? We know our place in the world, and I want to help you recognize your place in the world as well. And the thing that comes to mind, when you think about, there's a saying, I think it might have been Rumi, who says that the world is changed by the flapping of a butterfly's wings, right? Boom, she flaps her wings, she changes the world. That's exactly how I see us as badass butterflies. Any decision we make is an opportunity for us to have impact in this world. And I believe in the power of my impact, and I believe in the power of yours, but do you? Okay? So assuming this powerful attitude of empowerment will put you in the best position to elevate your life in 2022. Can you imagine living your life without ever feeling disappointed again? What about jealousy, anger, unsafe, ignored, insignificant, or unseen? Whatever your key negative emotion is, can you imagine not having to be subject to it again? Well, I can. And I love practicing not feeling disappointed. It's awesome. So we're going to talk about all this stuff more in the next session. So check the schedule for the exact dates and times, okay? And remember to join me in the Facebook group. All right? I'm out of here. Bye for now. Bye.